It was a bright summer day in California. The air was hot, the sun was shining, and thousands of people had gathered in the open desert for the Solar Sound Festival. Giant speakers surrounded the crowd. Music boomed in the air. Colorful lights and drones danced above the stage. This was Earth's biggest music festival, and it had just begun. In the middle of it all stood Jax, a 17-year-old boy from Los Angeles. He wore a black hoodie, simple jeans, and big headphones around his neck. Jax wasn't famous. He wasn't even on the list of performers. He had come with his friends to enjoy the music. But deep down, he dreamed of one day standing on that stage as a DJ. As the crowd jumped and cheered for the current performer, a strange sound filled the sky. It was not music. It was deep, like thunder, but smooth, like a whisper. People stopped, dancing. The sound grew louder. The sky turned violet for a moment, and then everyone saw it, a massive silver ship floating above the festival grounds. The ship was shaped like a smooth disk, glowing softly. It moved slowly and gently, like it was not trying to attack, but everyone felt nervous. Security guards shouted into radios. Some people screamed. Others took out their phones to record. Then the ship opened. A ramp slid out from the bottom. A strange figure walked down. It was tall and slim, wearing flowing silver robes. The figure had soft green skin that shimmered under the sun, long dark hair tied in braids, and large silver eyes. It was a young alien woman. She had a soft, natural beauty, peaceful and calm. She walked toward the center stage without fear. Floating beside her were strange metal turntables, lights and boxes with alien writing. The crowd was silent. Even the music had stopped. She raised one hand. A small device on her wrist translated her voice into perfect English. "People of Earth, I am Zira, soundbender of the Harmonia Cluster. I come in peace. I challenge your best DJ to a battle of music." The crowd gasped. A few laughed, thinking it was part of the show, but others looked serious. This was not a game. This was real. "Is this a joke?" one of the famous DJs whispered backstage. "No way I'm battling an alien," said another, backing away. Even the festival organizers looked confused and afraid. They didn't want to offend a visitor from space. Jack stood still. His heart was beating fast. He looked at Zira. She didn't look angry or dangerous. She looked curious, peaceful, honest. Before he could stop himself, Jax raised his hand. "I'll do it," he said, his voice shaking a little. People turned to look. His friends pulled on his shirt. "Are you crazy?" But it was too late. The alien looked at him. She nodded once. Her voice came again. "Accepted." Guards opened a path through the crowd. Jax walked slowly toward the stage, his hands cold. Cameras followed him. Everyone started whispering. "He's just a kid. He's not even famous. Is this really happening?" Jax stepped up onto the stage. Zira floated her alien turntables beside her. She looked at him and tilted her head. "You are young," she said, her voice soft. "Are you Earth's best?" "No," Jax said honestly, "but I'm not afraid to try." Zira smiled. "Good answer." A big screen behind them lit up. A countdown began. 3, 2, 1. Zira raised her hand. Her music started. It was like nothing Earth had ever heard. The air vibrated with deep space rhythms. The beat felt like waves crashing inside your chest. Sounds floated in circles, notes that rose and fell like stars. Her floating speakers spun, slowly in the air, and blue light danced with every beat. People stood frozen, eyes wide, mouths open. Her music made them feel strange things. Some laughed, some cried. One girl fainted. It was powerful, perfect, and beautiful. But it felt distant, like it came from a world far away, a world with no pain, but also no joy. After 6 minutes, her music faded into silence. The crowd didn't know how to react. Some clapped. Others just stood still. Zira turned toward Jax. "Your turn." Jax took a deep breath. He walked over to the backup DJ table on stage. It was old. It didn't float. It didn't glow. But it was his world. He plugged in his phone, took a deep breath, and closed his eyes. He thought of his mother's humming in the kitchen, of the bus sounds outside his window, of street drums in his neighborhood, of laughter, anger, hope, and fear. He started the beat. His music was messy, not perfect, but it had a heart. He added a loop of kids laughing, then the sound of thunder, then a piano his sister once played. The crowd started to move again. First a few heads, then full bodies. People started dancing, then cheering. Some even shouted his name. Zira watched him closely. Her silver eyes blinked. She looked confused, but also fascinated. The music kept going, loud and real, full of emotion. This battle was just beginning. As Jax's final beat faded, the crowd exploded into cheers. People jumped, clapped, and screamed his name. Cameras zoomed in on his sweating face. Jax stepped back from the DJ table, his chest rising and falling fast. His fingers were still, shaking, but his eyes were full of fire. Zira stood silently, watching the humans with deep thought. Her silver eyes blinked slowly. Her translator clicked, then spoke in a calm voice. "You play with emotion. That is rare." Jax gave a small smile. "That's how we do it on Earth." Zira didn't smile back. She simply raised her hand and her alien equipment floated beside her. The round metal turntables spun slowly in the air. Thin blue lines of light connected them to a strange glowing disc on her back. A calm voice came from the speakers. "Round 2, Zira's set begins." The crowd hushed again. Some were still dancing in excitement from Jax's set, but now they waited in silence. Zira closed her eyes. Her long fingers touched the air. It was like she was painting sound with invisible ink. Suddenly, a pulse rolled across the desert. It was soft, but strong. The air shimmered with energy. Dust lifted from the ground, floating as if time slowed. Then came the alien beat. It wasn't like Jax's music. It was perfect. Too perfect. The sounds had no mistakes. The rhythm was smooth and without breaks. But it didn't feel human. It was like listening to a machine dream. Light waves moved with the sound. Shapes formed in the sky, circles, stars, and waves of color. Some people gasped as their minds saw images they couldn't explain. A few people closed their eyes and swayed like they were under a spell. Zira opened her eyes slowly. She wasn't just playing music. She was controlling the feeling in the air. The beat grew deeper. The ground trembled softly. Everyone felt like they were floating. But Jax wasn't floating. He was watching, listening. His head tilted as he followed every sound, every shift, every tone. He noticed something. Zira's music had power, but it didn't change. It didn't surprise. There were no sudden drops, no wild jumps, no personal touch. It was beautiful, but cold. Jax leaned over to one of the sound techs. "Is this being recorded?" "Oh," the man nodded. "Live stream, 200 million views already." Jax gulped. Wow. Back on stage, Zira was finishing her set. A long note rose higher and higher like a spaceship taking off. Then it ended in silence. Complete silence. The lights blinked off. The floating turntables dropped to a gentle hover above the floor. For a moment, no one moved. Then the crowd clapped slowly, confused. It was amazing, but something was missing. Zira looked at them. "Your hearts do not agree with your hands. This I see." Jax stepped forward. They were impressed, but they didn't connect. Zira stared at him. "Your music is not clean. It has flaws." He nodded. "But it has heart. It tells a story. Zira tilted her head. What story? Jax took a breath. A kid trying to be seen, a world full of noise and no one listening. So he makes his own sound. Not to show off, but to be heard. Zira was silent for a while. Her silver eyes looked at the crowd. Then she turned to her gear and pressed a symbol. Rematch, she said. The crowd gasped again. You want another round? Jax asked. She nodded. Not verses. Together. People started cheering again. Phones were lifted. Drones flew higher. Even the festival lights adjusted to a brighter glow. This was no longer a battle. This was something new. Jax walked back to his table. He looked at his old controller, his beat-up headphones, and his scratched laptop. Then he looked at Zira's floating alien tech, glowing with soft energy. I don't know how to connect with your stuff, he said. Zira raised her hand. Her turntables floated toward him and hovered beside his. Light beams moved between them, scanning. Your tools are old, Zira said, but they carry your history. I will sync. The alien tech adjusted. A soft ping sounded. Jax pressed a button. His controller lit up with new colors. Zira touched her wrist device, and both sets connected. Together, they faced the crowd. Zira began a slow, deep hum. It was soft and full of mystery. Jax added a beat, low and warm. She added a space sound, like comets singing. He added a saxophone riff from an old Earth track. The crowd went wild. Alien science met human soul. For the next 5 minutes, Jax and Zira made a mix that felt like flying through time and space at the same time. People laughed, people cried. Some sat down in peace. Others danced like fire. The music didn't care where they came from. It only cared that they listened together. When the last note faded, there was no silence. There was a roar, the loudest cheer the festival had ever heard. Jax and Zira looked at each other. You learn fast, Jax said. Zira gave a soft smile. And you feel deep. Above them, a screen flashed. Round 2, complete. Final round. The vote. The world was watching, and the universe was listening. The sun was now low in the sky. Orange light touched the desert ground, and long shadows stretched across the festival stage. The air felt different. People were no longer just excited. They were connected, like they had shared something big. Something special. Jax wiped the sweat from his face. His fingers still tingled from the last mix. Zira stood quietly beside him, her alien tech floating calmly in the air. On the screen above them, bold letters appeared. Final round, one last song each. The crowd began to cheer again. All eyes were on the young human and the alien visitor. This was not just a battle anymore. It was a message to the galaxy. Zira's translator spoke again. One song, no limits, no help. Only your truth. Jax nodded. Let's do this. Zira stepped forward first. Her fingers moved smoothly through the air. Her floating discs rose higher. Lights formed rings above the stage. Then her final set began. It was beautiful. Pure. Each sound was like glass, sharp and clear. Her rhythms were complex, filled with patterns that made the brain light up. It felt like math turned into music. Perfect and logical. But something was missing again. Some people danced, but their smiles faded quickly. Others listened quietly, unsure how to feel. Zira's music showed them stars and faraway galaxies, but it did not show them themselves. Jax watched carefully. He admired her skills. She had control, power, and alien knowledge. But there was no heart in it, no memory, no story. When her song ended, the crowd clapped politely. A few people cheered, but not with full energy. Zira turned her eyes toward Them. She tilted her head. Did I not give enough? She asked. Someone near the front shouted, It was perfect, but we didn't feel anything. Zira stood still. Her translator paused. Her eyes slowly turned toward Jax. Now it was his turn. Jax stepped up to his old DJ table. He looked out over the crowd. He saw thousands of people from every background. Young and old, rich and poor, humans from all walks of life. Some had never listened to alien music before. Some had never listened to Earth music deeply either. He took a deep breath. Then he pressed record. I want you to hear my story, he said into the mic. It's not about being the best. It's about being real. He started with a heartbeat, his own heartbeat recorded from his phone. Slow, steady, human. Then came a soft piano note, his sister's favorite song. Then the sound of LA streets at night. Honking cars, skateboard wheels, kids laughing. He added a deep drum beat like footsteps running through the rain. People began to nod. The sound pulled them in. Then came the drop. Heavy bass crashed with a sharp snare mixed with an old hip-hop verse. A cheer broke out. People danced with their whole bodies. Some cried, some held hands, others just closed their eyes and let the sound take them. Zira stood frozen, watching everything. Her eyes didn't blink. Her translator said nothing. Jax's music told a story. A boy growing up in a noisy city. A boy who felt invisible. A boy who found power in sound. Who mixed the world's chaos into rhythm. Who turned struggle into song. He added a short recording of his mom's voice. Keep going, Jax. I'm proud of you. The crowd went quiet for a moment. Then came the final drop. Fast, loud, full of life. People screamed with joy. Some even climbed onto each other's shoulders. Others turned on phone flashlights and waved them in the air. When the song ended, Jax stood still, breathing hard. There was silence. Then a roar, the loudest cheer of the night. Even the sky seemed to echo. With it, Zira slowly walked over to him. I did not understand before, she said softly. Now I do. Jax looked at her, confused. Understand what? Zira pointed to his chest. Emotion. It is the missing key. Her translator glitched a little, then spoke again. In my world, we removed feelings from music long ago. We believed perfection was better. But perfection has no soul. Jax nodded. Music is about connection, not control. She looked at him. You reminded me. Thank you. The screen above them flashed again. Voting begins now. All around the world, and on alien ships watching the live stream, millions cast their votes. Holograms floated in the sky. Bars began to rise. 1, blue, 1 green, blue for Zira, green for Jax. At first, they were close, but slowly green pulled ahead, then it wasn't close at all. Jax, 72%. Zira, 28%. Bell rang. Confetti exploded from the stage. Jax's name appeared in giant letters. Winner, Jax Morales, Earth's human teen DJ. The crowd went wild again. Jax was in shock. He didn't jump or dance. He just smiled, wide and honest. His dream had come true, but it was bigger than that now. Zira stepped forward and raised his hand. Victory to the one who plays from the heart, she said. Then she bowed, and the world bowed back. The stage was still glowing when the crowd finally started to settle down. People were taking selfies, dancing in circles, and shouting Jax's name from every direction. Drones flew overhead, flashing lights and broadcasting live to millions of viewers across Earth and beyond. Jax stood at the center of it all, trying to catch his breath. His hands were still shaking. His head felt light. He had just beaten an alien DJ from another galaxy. But more than that, he had been heard. Zira stood beside him, her silver eyes calm. Her floating turntables slowly lowered to the ground. The Translator on her wrist clicked once before she spoke. I came to battle. I leave with respect. The crowd clapped loudly. Zyra turned to Jax. Would you consider a new challenge? Jax raised an eyebrow. Another battle? No, she said softly. A remix. Together. Gasps came from the crowd. A fusion? Human and alien DJs mixing on the same stage? Jax blinked, unsure at first. Then he smiled. Let's do it. The lights dimmed again. A new message flashed across the screen. Bonus round. Remix of worlds. Technicians quickly adjusted the sound systems. Zyra's alien tech floated once more, spinning in the air like rings of sound. Jax reconnected his simple controller and headphones. The crowd hushed. Zyra stepped forward and said, We will now mix the sound of two worlds, one from stars, one from streets. Together. The beat began slowly. A low hum filled the air like the sound of space breathing. Zyra added soft tones, shifting, flowing like liquid light. Her fingers danced in the air, adjusting invisible controls. Then Jax added his part. He brought in the sound of waves from Earth's oceans. City horns, footsteps, laughter. Zyra answered with alien wind instruments and glowing drum patterns from her home planet. Each sound fit together piece by piece. It was like building a bridge out of music. The rhythm sped up. Jax added deep bass and Earth's street beats. Zyra twisted time itself, slowing the rhythm, then speeding it up again. They traded sounds, bounced ideas, and followed each other's energy. The crowd was in awe. It was like hearing the first conversation between two planets, not through words, but through sound. People danced without knowing why. Tears rolled down cheeks, lights glowed brighter. For a moment there was no fear, no past, no difference, only unity. The remix built higher and higher until it reached a point where both DJs stepped back, hands lifted in the air. The final note echoed. Then silence, a peaceful silence. And then thunderous applause. Some people dropped to their knees. Others hugged strangers. Phones were forgotten. Screens dimmed. What had just happened wasn't just music. It was history. Jax turned to Zyra. How did you learn to match my style so fast? Zyra looked at him. Your music speaks truth. Truth. Needs no translation. Jax nodded, touched. And your sound. It opens doors. I never imagined music could sound like that. Music on my planet is for control, Zyra explained. For focus. But your sound is for feeling. It has pain. It has hope. It's alive. She paused. We forgot what that meant. Until today. Festival staff and news crews quickly rushed the stage. Microphones were pointed. Questions were shouted. Jax, what does this mean for Earth? Zyra, will you stay here? Are humans ready for galactic music exchange? Zyra raised her hand, and all voices went quiet. I came to test. Now I wish to learn. Jax spoke. Next. And I want to share Earth's sound with the stars. Cameras clicked. A new headline flashed. Human teen and alien DJ announce galactic music tour. Zyra looked to the sky. Her ship still hovered quietly above. There are many planets in my cluster. Some are cold, some are proud. Some have never heard Earth's sound. Will you come with me, Jax Morales? Jax took a step back. Me? Leave. Earth? His heart pounded. He thought of his mom, his sister, his city, but he also thought of the beats he hadn't heard yet, the places where music had no name. He looked at the crowd, cheering, waving, hopeful. He looked at Zyra, an alien, but somehow not a stranger anymore. Then he made his choice. Let's remix the galaxy, the crowd screamed. Zyra nodded. Then we begin tomorrow. A soft blue light wrapped around them both. Her ship sent down a gentle beam. One last cheer rose from the ground as Jax and Zyra floated upward. Together, A human teen and an alien DJ disappeared into the stars, carrying a new sound with them, a sound made from both science and soul. The stars looked different from up close. Jax Morales sat by a round window inside Zyra's ship, watching planets drift by. Some were red like fire, others were blue and glowing. He saw rings, moons, and even storms that danced like lightning in space. It had been only 5 days since he left Earth, but his life had changed completely. Now he wasn't just a teenage DJ. He was the first human ever to go on a galactic music tour. Zyra sat across from him, adjusting her instruments. Her alien fingers moved quickly, tuning her floating turntables. Her calm face glowed softly in the ship's silver light. "Our next stop is the planet Varel," she said. "They listen only to silent rhythms. No beats, no lyrics." Jax blinked. "Wait, you're saying they listen to nothing?" Zyra nodded. "To them, emotion is a weakness. Music must be silent or very soft." Jack scratched his head. "This is going to be tough." Zyra smiled for the first time in days. "That is why we go." They landed on Varel's surface quietly. The sky was white, the buildings were tall, smooth, and made of crystal. The people had pale skin and long arms. They spoke in soft tones, never shouting, never laughing. Jax and Zyra were led to a small stage in a clear dome. Inside, thousands of Varelians sat in silence, their eyes glowing faintly. A leader stepped forward. Her voice was soft but firm. "Play your music, Earthchild. Let us see if your noise has meaning." Jax took a deep breath. He looked at Zyra. She gave a small nod. He walked to his controller. The lights dimmed. At first, he played nothing, just the sound of his own breath. Then, very slowly, he began a gentle hum. It was soft, like the wind through trees. He added distant raindrops, a single piano note. Then, a baby laughing. Some Varelians turned their heads. He added a mother whispering a lullaby. A heartbeat, a single soft drum. The room was still quiet, but no longer cold. Jax didn't drop a heavy beat. He didn't shout into a mic. He simply let the feeling grow. When he finished, the room stayed silent for 10 full seconds. Then, one Varelian stood up. Then another. Then dozens. They placed their hands over their hearts and nodded. The leader bowed her head. "Your music carries memory. We forgot that long ago." Later, Zyra and Jack stood outside under Varel's soft light. "You didn't play like yourself," Zyra said. Jax shrugged. "Sometimes you gotta play for the room, but I still told my story." She looked at him. "You adapted. That is rare." Over the next 2 weeks, they traveled to 5 more planets. On a water world, they played music that used ocean waves and whale calls. On a fire planet, they performed inside a volcano dome, using heat rhythms and lava drums. On a moon station, they played for miners who hadn't heard music in 20 years. Everywhere they went, people listened. Some danced for the first time in generations. Others cried. A few simply sat in silence, unsure of what they felt. Word spread fast across the galaxy. The human DJ was changing worlds. Soon, an idea began to rise. Across the stars, a group of alien leaders met. They formed the Interplanetary Sound Council, a group that judged new music, chose official galaxy songs, and controlled the flow of music between systems. Now, they had a question to answer. Should Earth be added to the Galactic Music Network? Only connected planets could share songs, trade sounds, and hold music shows across the stars. Zyra had already voted yes, but the other members were unsure. Some said Earth was too emotional. Others said humans were too new, too wild. One leader, a stone-faced creature from planet Drake, spoke firmly. "They are unpredictable. Their sounds are messy. They play with feeling, not order. But another, a soft-spoken, jelly-like being from Ulara, replied, "Maybe that is what we need." A galaxy-wide vote was announced. Every planet would watch Jax's next performance, after. That all species could vote, yes or no. It was the biggest moment in Jax's life. He stood backstage on the giant satellite arena called Harmonia Prime. Billions of beings would hear him play. Zira stood beside him. "You do not need to win them all," she said. "You only need to be true." Jax nodded. He walked to the center stage. The lights above him were stars. The floor beneath him glowed softly. He pressed his first note. It was a heartbeat, just like his very first performance. But this time, he mixed something from every planet he had visited. The soft breath of Varel, the lava thump of the fire world, the water splash of the ocean moon, the mining echoes from the deep station, the alien winds from Zira's home planet, and the city sounds of Earth. Cars, kids, laughter, and pain, he wove it all into one powerful track. He didn't just play for Earth, he played for everyone. When the music ended, the galaxy was quiet. Then, lights across the stars began to blink. Votes were coming in, one by one. Each planet gave its answer. The final screen appeared on the arena dome. Yes, 89%. No, 11%. Earth was now part of the Galactic Music Network. Jax Morales had done it, not with war, not with science, but with sound. Months passed since Earth's official entry into the Galactic Music Network. Jax and Zira continued their journey across planets, bringing new rhythms, emotions, and stories to worlds far beyond the stars. Jax was no longer just a teenager from Earth. He was a symbol of unity, a bridge between species, and a DJ who had made his mark in history. His music was no longer just for Earth. It was for the entire galaxy. One evening, after a performance on the lush, forest-covered planet of Silas, Jax and Zira sat together by a quiet lake. The sky above them sparkled with millions of stars, and the water reflected their light like 1,000 mirrors. Jax looked out at the night sky, feeling the weight of everything they had accomplished. "We've been to so many places, Zira," he said quietly. "I can't believe it all started with that battle in California. I was just a kid with a dream." Zira smiled, her eyes reflecting the stars. "Dreams are the first step, Jax. But you turned yours into music, and now every world is listening." Jax smiled, but he was still thinking. "I guess I never really thought about how music can change things. Not just in people, but in whole planets. Some of these places, they never even had music like ours." Zira turned to face him. "What you gave them was more than sound. It was a feeling. Music that moves the heart and mind, not just the body. That's why they listen." Jax leaned back, looking up at the stars. "Yeah, I guess. But I never expected so many worlds to listen, to really feel it. I'm just a kid from Earth after all." Zira laughed softly. "Your heart is bigger than any galaxy, Jax. And that is why you are the one who was chosen." Jax didn't know how to respond. The weight of it all still felt strange. He had gone. From playing music in his garage to performing across planets, remixing sounds that connected people and places far from Earth. He had changed everything without even realizing it. A message came through the ship's communication system, breaking the peaceful silence. It was a call from the Interplanetary Sound Council. Zira touched the screen and the council's faces appeared on the display. "Jax Morales," said the leader, a towering figure from the planet Gorthon. "The galaxy has decided. You are now an official ambassador of sound. Your music has united us in ways we never thought possible. You have opened the way for more worlds to share their sound." Jax's eyes widened. He hadn't expected that. Ambassador? He was still just a kid who loved mixing beats. He wasn't a politician. He wasn't a leader. What does that mean? Jax asked, his voice unsure. The leader nodded. It means that you will help guide the flow of music between worlds. You will be the voice of Earth in the galactic music community. You will lead the Galactic Harmony Project. Jax was speechless. The Galactic Harmony Project was something that Zira had spoken about for weeks, an effort to bring peace and unity through music. The project aimed to make the galaxy a more connected, peaceful place, using sound to bridge the gaps between species and planets. Zira placed a hand on Jax's shoulder. You've already started it, Jax. Now it's time to take it further. Earth's music will be the heart of the project. Jax took a deep breath. This was bigger than anything he had ever dreamed of. A part of him wanted to say no, wanted to stay small and simple, just a kid who played in his garage. But another part of him, the part that had fallen in love with the stars, the rhythms, and the voices of all the worlds, knew there was no turning back. I'll do it, Jax said, his voice steady now. I'll take Earth's sound to the stars. Let's make it count. The council members nodded. We knew you would. We will begin the first Galactic Harmony concert in 3 weeks. You will lead it. The eyes of the galaxy will be on you. Jax and Zira spent the next weeks preparing for the biggest performance of Jax's life. They traveled to planets he had never imagined, visiting the ice-covered world of Freylus, the desert moon, Scifi, and the floating cities of Jovaria. Everywhere they went, Jax collected sounds, the hum of Frelus's icy winds, the deep drums of Scifi's sandstorms, the bright electronic pulses from Jovaria's advanced cities. He mixed everything into one masterpiece. Finally, the day of the concert arrived. The Galactic Harmony concert was held in a giant floating amphitheater in the center of the galaxy. The stars above shone bright, and millions of beings, humans, aliens, robots, and more, gathered to hear the first-ever universal music show. Jax stepped onto the stage, his heart pounding. The huge arena was quiet, waiting for him. Zira stood. By his side, her floating equipment glowing softly. The lights dimmed, and Jax pressed the first note. It wasn't a beat. It was a sound, the sound of the galaxy itself. The hum of the stars, the whisper of planets, the beat of the universe's heart. Jax added layers, Earth's voices, alien instruments, cosmic winds, and songs from the farthest corners of space. He felt the energy build. The audience sat still, listening to every note. This wasn't just a concert. It was a moment in time, a unity of everything that existed. As the final note played, the galaxy held its breath. Then, it erupted in applause. Cheers, waves, and light flashed through space. Jax had done it. His music had united them all. Zira stood beside him, her smile wider than ever. You did it, Jax. The galaxy is listening. And as Jax looked out at the crowd, at the millions of beings from countless worlds, he knew that music, the heart of humanity, had become the soul of the universe. The future was not just bright, it was alive.